Hi, everybody. Can you believe who I have in my studio today? Mr. Jordan Adler. Jordan is a good friend of mine and a mentor, and I'm so glad you're here today.
Thanks, Ann. This is really fun that we get to do this.
I know. I'm excited.
I love your set, too. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And my producer doesn't want me to give him credit, but I'm going to give him a little bit of credit right now. So Jordan is a network marketer, and he has been in 11 network marketing companies. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that background?
Actually, my first 11 were the first companies that I never succeeded, never made a penny, never signed anybody up over a period of 10 years. And then I've actually been in more than 11 because on my 12th company, I finally figured out the business. I finally kind of figured it out. So have a background in, I was a landscape designer for a while, and then I worked in the airline industry for 10 years, but I was always entrepreneurial. I was always looking for something that I could do on the side to make some extra money. I was involved in lots of different businesses over the years, everything from nutritional products to long distance phone service, to camera, like the special three-dimensional 3D cameras, to companies like Amway. I was involved in all these different companies, and I would fumble my way through it and never make anything. I didn't really get how to do it. And so even though I was reading books and going to seminars, I was a slow learner. It took me a while. But on my 13th year, 12th company, things started to go a little different.
Now, what do you mean? Explain to them what it means when somebody gets it in network marketing. What does that mean?
It's just simple. It's simple distinctions. It's like learning the fundamentals that work. And I was smart. I considered myself smarter than everybody else when I was in my 20s, including my parents. And
that means uncoachable.
Yeah, I'm totally uncoachable. Although I was on my own personal development journey, but I was creative and I would come up with ideas and none of it worked. And then I finally started to really take heed to what people were telling me, like the leadership was teaching me, and the books that I was reading, and really starting to create in my own mind the distinctions for success. And some of those are just like learning a very simple presentation and just giving it over and over again without being attached to the outcome.
Exactly.
And then learning how to set up a simple appointment, filling the calendar, things like that, just very simple things. More about what you focus on versus where you're putting your attention, because the things that lead us to success in our business, every business, typically are not complicated. There's smart people out there, and successful entrepreneurs, they find the smart people that do the things that require that. But most of what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur is quite simple.
Jordan is, I had called Jordan one day, it's probably been a year. And I had went to him about a coach. And he said, "What do you need?" And I said, sometimes I just need that little bit of time. And so he said, "Ann, if you ever need a coach, just call me and we'll talk for 20 minutes. So every once in a blue moon, I do reach out to you." One of the things that I've learned as a network marketer myself, and I wanted to get your opinion on this, I think there's a direct correlation between self-growth and being successful in business.
No doubt. Well, if you're still on that journey, we're all still on the journey. We're always on the journey of growth, personal growth. But there's a level of maturity in terms of entrepreneurial philosophy and direction. There's a level of maturity that someone needs to reach before they're going to attract the people that are the right people for the business, and whether it be any traditional business or network marketing business. And so if you're not there yet, like for example, if your internal mental model is when things get tough, I'm going to quit, that does not work in the entrepreneurial world, because in the entrepreneurial world, things get tough. And it's really easy to talk about it in a set like this, or in a training room, or in a seminar, or when you're watching it or listening to an audio or watching a video. And we always nod and say yes and smile, we know. But then when we're in the mix of it, that's when we're really tested. And most people that are on the entrepreneurial journey, the reason most people don't make it is because when things get tough, they throw in the towel. And that doesn't work. The model that works is when things get tough, we get more creative, we get more resourceful, we work harder, we figure things out, we solve problems. The people that make the most money are the people that solve the biggest problems.
Yes.
And that's what an entrepreneur is. An entrepreneur is a problem solver. So
yeah, what would your best advice give to someone what would you give to a leader in their industry when they start getting to that next level and they have thousands underneath? It's overwhelming. It seems scary. That's, I think, sometimes you got to not think from here, right. Because that brings on resistance. But what would be your best advice to give somebody that is leading a team of thousands of people?
Find people that have done that and then read books that were written by them, or listen to YouTube videos or audios written by people that have already done it. And then pay attention. You want to read between the lines. This is the hard part for most people, is not just take literally what they're saying in the book, but actually try and look behind their words as you're reading, looking for the tiny distinctions, what they're focusing on that's allowing them to navigate the world of entrepreneurship. Like, what is it that's allowing them to stay on their course during the good times and the bad times? I know what he would tell me, because he would say it to me a lot, and that's laser focus. Right. And when I first started in the entrepreneurial world, I was a little bit scattered, but as I've been practicing soft growth, the wheels starting to click, mm-hmm. and I understand so much more than I did, a year ago even. So I encourage anyone out there, never quit in a bad day. Right. And one of the things that's happened to me throughout my journey is whenever I have those bad days and I think I want to quit, guess what happens? I get another client. That's right. So it's just, you have to keep on swimming. The reason I laughed, Ann, is because yesterday somebody sent me a meme that said, never quit on a bad day. And then underneath it said Chinese proverb. And I laughed because that's my quote. It's not a Chinese proverb. Oh, how funny. Yeah. So be careful out there when you're doing those things. I don't know where the Chinese proverb came up, but it was funny. Jordan's written a book called Beach Money, and what's better than beach money but better than beach money? So one of the things that I got out of this book was tell them the story about the Jeep. That's a good story. That's in the first book. It's in the first book, right? That book's been out for 10 years. It still sells about 5,000 copies a month, and it's all over the world. So I was, I had a beat up old Jeep, and a girl in an old car pulled out in front of me, and I hit her. It was really fast, and she had no insurance, and she was at fault. And what happened though was the windshield of the Jeep shattered, but it didn't break out. It just, like, there was a spider vein of broken glass in the windshield. And I couldn't see too well out of the windshield, but I had to drive the car home. In fact, what had happened, it wasn't the accident itself that shattered the Jeep. It was the hood after the accident wasn't latched, and it blew up and shattered the windshield. That's what happened as I was driving down the freeway. So the glass was shattered. I had the Jeep, and I'm driving, and I noticed a cop behind me. And I noticed that he was squinting. He was like kind of looking like this behind me in my rearview mirror, right? And I realized he saw my broken windshield. I didn't have the top on the Jeep. He saw the broken windshield, and he couldn't see through the windshield, so he figured I probably couldn't see through the windshield either. And I was really in bad financial state back then, and I couldn't afford to fix the windshield on my car. I got a ticket. It was pretty bad. But here's what I found out. I ended up driving that Jeep around. Probably not too safe to do this, but I drove the Jeep around for a while. And what I noticed is that when I focused beyond the broken glass, when I focused through the glass on where I was going, I could see the glass would kind of blur out. The cracks would kind of blur out. But when I focused on the cracks on the windshield, then I couldn't see where I was going. So, and that's a great metaphor for our business too. I was just going to say that. That's what you do. You have to focus on where you're going and not on what's happening. Those major inconveniences that happen to all of us every day. And there's not a single human being on the earth that doesn't have major inconveniences all day, sometimes crisis. Those are the things that stop us usually from continuing on. Sometimes they have to do with our business. Sometimes they're outside things that don't have anything to do with our business, but they keep us from for example, going to the next meeting or getting on the next call or setting up the next appointment. They keep us from doing that. And that happens a few times. And then before we know it, we're no longer doing the business.
Yeah, that's what I think. You have to speak from the heart, I think.
Yeah.
I do want to touch base. I don't know if you remember this, but we went out to dinner a while back because I told you I needed some time. And one of the things that that I personally, as an entrepreneur and a network marketer, trying to build my own business, try to find myself, trying to go through self-growth, is I had reached out to him because I felt like a lot of people are going out of the picture. You lose a lot of friends. You
make new friends.
You make new friends. But at the same time, my concern was with Jordan was how do you not come off? Sometimes I feel like I'm coming off so strong, but I also know that it takes a lot of work. And what would be a good advice because you don't want to sound like you know everything.
It's like you say, getting out of your head and into your heart. It's really more about that, getting out of your head and really focusing on other people. So instead of trying to figure out what you're going to say, figuring out what your pitch is going to be, instead focus on asking questions and listening to them, getting to know them. So whether you're meeting somebody for the first time or if you're even sitting down with them with the intention of, sharing the business strategy or ideas that you have for your business, spend some time with them personally and connecting on a personal level. Find out a little bit about what's going on in their life. Find out a little bit about, them. If you don't know them well, find out a little bit about them and their background and their likes and their dislikes, and just spend some time getting to know them. And you can develop a pretty solid connection with somebody in a matter of minutes if you just spend time trying to get into their world rather than trying to figure out what you're going to say. Inevitably, if you're in that curiosity mindset where you're curious, you're interested in someone else, at some point they usually ask you, so what's going on with you? Or what are you into? Or tell me a little bit more about what you do. That eventually that gets to that. Sometimes it's in 5 minutes and sometimes it's in 30. But at some point they go, tell me about you, or what's going on with you, or what are you into? And then that opens the door for you to give them a little bit.
Yeah. Have you ever taken the Clifton Strengths Finder test? You just made me think of this. I just recently took this test, and we should focus on our strengths rather than our weaknesses. And I just took mine last week. And one of the things that came up was individualization was my top strength. And I read what that means. It's a great thing because I do ask those questions and it is about that person. But then again, it's kind of a bad thing because I am one that would take that it's a bad thing and it's a little bit more time consuming. Right. So, but that's okay.
Yeah. The slow, in my viewpoint, the slow way is the fast way. Taking time with people actually anchors your relationships. And when you have rock solid relationships, you don't get resistance from people. You get very little resistance from people.
That's so true.
They don't always say yes, but they're much more friendly about saying no, and they are more interested in learning about what you've got when you focus on connecting with people in a positive way versus trying to push or shove something down their throat that they're really not sure if they're even interested in seeing.
Right. But if you have those conversations with them, you'll know what piques their interest. Right. And then maybe it's more about helping them. Yep. I like to, go from the heart. I have a book, two books up there that I just got tons of notes from, because I'm a learner. I just absorb everything in. And I went to a lunch and learn a couple weeks ago, and one of the ladies had said, come from here. And if you come from here and not here, you will go. And it would bring, release the resistance. But then I was reading, so I have seen Jordan at GoPro a couple times, and I was going through my notes, and I realized I was at GoPro at 2016. Wow. And I was highlighting and going through, because there was some gem of little quotes in there. And one of the quotes was, let your mind decide the little things. I think Eric spoke it. I'm not for sure because I couldn't tell who was talking at this point. Right. And I I read that. But now I get what he means by that. At first, I was like, wait a minute, I thought it was supposed to come from my heart, not from my head.
Yeah.
He's talking about those little decisions. Like, I can't even think of one
right now. I think
you
might
now.
have said something like, let your head make the little decisions and let your heart make the big decisions.
It could have been,
yeah,
absolutely.
Like that.
But, you know, when you do come from here, it is so genuine and so passionate, and it comes off, and your audience knows, and your client knows, and your family knows, and it's so important.
Yeah.
So important. So, let me see. I'm trying to think if I had anything else that I want to. Would you have done anything different?
You know, I get asked that question a lot. It's one of the most common questions I get asked. And the truth is, for a long time, I would tell people, no, if I'd done anything different, I wouldn't have the story. And the story is the thing that inspires people. Like my story that I wrote in Beach Money, that's the thing that resonates with people. That's the thing that causes them to go, you know, I can do this. So if I didn't have the story, then I wouldn't have attracted the community, right? I wouldn't have built the network without that story. That story is extremely powerful. And my journey that I don't regret, that was very difficult, very challenging along the way. We all have a challenging story along the way, is what people can reconnect to and relate to. So, but I do have one regret. And I thought of this about a year ago. And that is, what I did as an entrepreneur with no knowledge of being an entrepreneur other than books that I've read over the years. The way we learn our lessons about what we do with our money once we start making money is typically you have to have a place to put the money. And so you have as soon as you start making it, people start coming to you with businesses that they want you to invest in. And you get a lot. Like when word gets out that you're making money, every day you have somebody coming to you, want you to invest their money with them. And you start to think that you're smart when you start making a lot of money. So you start thinking, that's why football players that when they're 35 years old and they're retiring, they're broke. And the reason is because they've invested their money and they're not educated investors. That happens to most people that start making money. So I invested in, 40, 50 businesses over the course of my first 10 years of success in network marketing, anywhere from $40,000 to $250,000 in different businesses. And guess how much, after 10 years, how much of it was left? Zero. Zero was left. And some of you are going like, how's that even possible? Believe me, it's possible. Everybody has a good business idea. And it's really easy to, and those businesses, it's rare that one of them succeeds. So what I would have done differently is I figured out that if I had taken just 10% of my income, if I made $100, put away 10. If I made $1,000, put away 100. If I made $10,000, put away 1,000. Just put it into a conservative, interest-bearing vehicle, financial vehicle, and put it somewhere where I can't get to it.
Oh.
And don't touch it and just forget about it. Every month, put 10% away. I would today have $20 million more if I had just done that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I had posted a question on Facebook this week, and that's interesting because I think you're leading up to it. So when that 5-figure monthly income comes, somebody had said one of the questions was about basically graduating from that 5-figure earner to a 6-figure earner. So that's where that 5-figure earner should put that money back. I'm a firm believer in educating, especially when it comes to money. I've seen what happens to people when they don't have the mindset of a lot of money at one time, or slowly comes in and they don't have any.
They say, philosophically, you read this in a lot of books, it's easier to make your money than it is to keep it.
Really?
Yeah, it's hard to keep the money than it is to make it. And
I should tell my husband that.
Yeah. And so, and The Richest Man in Babylon, if you want a book, I read that book years ago and I didn't follow it, but I wished I had. That's my regret.
Really?
I wished I'd followed the advice in The Richest Man in Babylon. And that was to take 10% of my money, put it away and not touch it, make it disappear. And if you do that, and even when things get tough, because there's going to be times where you're in a financial crisis and you're going to want to dip into that. People that have 401ks, they liquidate them and they take the huge penalty to get their money because they got an emergency. You got to leave that money alone. It'll grow.
That's a great advice. The one thing I have to say about my husband, he will not touch the money,
Good move.
no matter what. And you know what? At first, it's caused some issues, but now I get it.
Yeah.
So that is.
You didn't dip into that to build this studio.
No, we did not to build this studio. So I wanted to share with Jordan. So Jordan works for an amazing company that called Send Out Cards, and my Y is quite large for that. And I've shared a story with you. I think you'll remember this about my grandmother.
Yeah.
And I had told you about my grandmother.
I have a similar story.
Yeah. So I had told Jordan one time that the reason why I love Send Out Cards is because my grandmother always took photos all the time. And when she passed away, that's what we went for. I have the old suitcase sitting in the house. And why don't you share your story about what happened?
So we had when we lost my father about 3 years ago, we had all of my father's stuff in a storage facility about the size of this room here. And we were paying for it every month. And it was sitting in there. And my sisters, myself, the stuff was sentimental. It was we felt a connection to our father through his stuff, but there was nothing in there that we really wanted. But we felt connected to him. But we're paying for it every month, and it's in a storage facility. So it's like his old desk and boxes of his clothes and his television set and just stuff like that, stuff that we would never use for anything. So finally, my sister said, "We gotta go, and we gotta just spend a weekend and just get rid of everything and figure out what we want to keep." There was he had old bowling trophies and all kinds of stuff. So there was only one thing that we wanted when we went in there, when we started purging and throwing things away and giving things away and all that. There was only one thing. You know what that was? It was the photos.
Yeah.
It was the photos of my father and my grandfather and all that. That was the things that we cherished the most. So we split those up. We picked the ones that we wanted, and everything else went away. But I look at that, and what we do with Send Out Cards is we send, because today, you've talked about this, people don't have photos anymore.
No.
Because everything's online. So when you send somebody something in the mail with photos, they cherish those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When I had lost my grandfather, this was my grandmother's spouse last June. And I noticed in the closet, there was all these, I don't know if I shared this with you or not yet, all these bags, all these gift bags, like just shoved full of cards. And I didn't think anything of it. I was like, Mom, look at all these, Grandma saved like all this stuff. So my mom had went there after I had left to clean everything up. And she brought me a bag home. And in the bag was every card that I'd ever mailed my grandmother over the years. So I tell people, do you want an empty bag? That could be photos, cards, or whatever it is, or a full bag. I just had a granddaughter, 5 months old, and every single month on the day, I literally go in, make her a card, copy, paste, send. And so we have all these amazing moments. So what I wanted to share with you was I had met someone online named Julie. A friend of mine connected me with a girl named Julie, and she goes, go to this meeting. So I go to a meeting, and I love the premise. I love what it was about. But I trusted Rosemary first and foremost, because I know her very well. Hi, Rosemary. So I trusted Rosemary, and I went to one meeting, and I said, I'm going to join this amazing group.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to show you was she sent me this card in the mail, and I was like, this girl knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
So then I invited a friend to the group, and then I go in her office, and this is sitting on her card or desk just for visiting the group. And I was like, this lady gets it. This lady gets it. So I was so impressed by that. It is the little things, to remember. It is those messages in the morning. Good morning to your downline, because maybe they're having a bad day. He's reached out to me more than one time in the morning. It says, Ann, da-da-da. I'm like, I got this, Jordan, but thank you for reaching out. So I thank you for that. Always doing that. And, and don't miss an opportunity. I think is another amazing thing. I watch a lot of The Prophet, and Mark Cuban was saying that how dare anybody talk to him while he's going to the bathroom. But I said, don't miss an opportunity. Right. That may be the only opportunity you have. So why not take the opportunity to, don't miss any opportunities because there's a lot of great opportunities out there.
Right.
Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I would take advantage. I would be that person.
I don't have Mark Cuban's problem, but I have had people at conventions try and talk to me about things in the bathroom. So.
Oh, I can only imagine. So, Jordan, what would be the best thing you would give somebody today that's just having a bad day right now? They're just they don't want to do it. They want to throw the towel in. What would you say to them today?
You know what? I have a saying: don't ever let crisis turn into ruin. If you're having a crisis, it's a crisis, and it's tough. And I get it. Everybody has them. Like some of them can be really tough. Like I was building a business when my father was sick and dying. I mean, that's like it doesn't get much other than having your own health start to fail. That doesn't really get much worse. Then everybody goes through that.
Yeah.
Everybody has something like that in their life. But when you have a crisis, don't let it turn into ruin. And that's what most people do. And that's why most people don't make it as entrepreneurs.
Well,
don't let crisis turn into ruin.
That, and I also think that on the outside looking in, be very careful when one judges, I think, because a lot of people judge, but you don't know what's transpired that morning on the way there or whatever the case may be. This was one of the struggles my husband and I had in the beginning. He would text me in the morning or say something, or I'd be in the zone doing my thing. And then I say, look, we can't do this anymore. This is where I do our business. And you can't overload me in the morning because you do not know what's going on over there. So it's been, a struggle for us at first. And let's talk a little bit about, I hope you don't mind I'll bring this up, but talk about the support you didn't have at the beginning, because I know there's so many entrepreneurs out there, spouses, sons, daughters, who they don't have the support. And how do you get through that?
Oh, you mean like with my father?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't mind you talking about that. He wouldn't mind me talking to you about it. My father was not a fan of network marketing for many years. He used to call it names, and even years before I got involved in the business, it was a shameful conversation, and we even got in a fight on Thanksgiving night, and I bolted out of the house, left the Thanksgiving table, bolted out of the house, and slammed the door. So, but yeah, it's like you have to just decide what's important to you. Like if you want the lifestyle that would come with the residual income, if you would like to have money flowing into your bank account each month, even after you've done the work, years after you've done the work, if you want the freedom that comes with that, the freedom to be able to grow your income beyond your expenses so that you have a cash flow a pipeline that feeds your bank account, then you have to get really committed to that and committed to the level of service necessary to create it. And then also block out the people that are naysayers and the negative people, because they're out there. And unfortunately, for many years, my father was one of those, but then in his later years, he became a fan, and he was one of my biggest fans. He would ask me every time I'd see him, he'd ask me for more Beach Money books so he could give them to his friends. And I took him on cruises with me, and I bought him a car, and I think that helped. Those kinds of things. So sometimes the people that are the biggest naysayers become your greatest assets down the road. So you just treat everybody nice, and there's certain people that you just know not to bring up the topic. Yeah, and you just leave it alone. You may love them.
That's a good point.
Continue to love them, but just don't bring that topic up.
Amen. Amen. I've met some amazing entrepreneurs along the way, and we've all had our struggles. So I really encourage you all. I've had my own struggles. Believe me, it has not always been roses in this house when it comes to network marketing and doing what I'm doing. But one of the things that opened up my husband's eyes was meeting Jordan in person. We all vacationed. We took a cruise. It's been a year ago this month.
Wow.
Yeah. I can't believe that. So that's when it really, which was funny because, we were on a cruise, and that's
when I really got to know your husband a little bit.
Right. And that day I was like, honey, I am going to go on the deck and have a drink because we were in the middle of training, and I was like, I wanted to get out, and he stayed.
Yeah.
And he stayed. And so it's funny because every once in a blue moon we'll have a conversation, and he'll go, oh, you were talking about so-and-so. So he's come a long way. So I do encourage you out there to just keep on fighting, keep on pushing, stay in your own lane.
Yeah.
Stay in your own lane. Yeah. That's been my motto more than ever. The haters, they're going to hate. They're always going to hate. You just keep on going. But at the same time, I may have lost, I'm sure Jordan has lost many people that thought we're friends or whatever, but the friends that are coming in my life now are amazing.
They're real friends,
Yeah. And so I encourage you to just keep on going out there and doing your thing and keep on hustling. It will happen for you. You just got to keep on hustling. One more question I have for you is, how important is it to be duplicatable? Because this is a topic that I had an epiphany about a month ago on this, and it must be duplicatable.
Yeah.
So I believe in being creative, but you also have to stay duplicatable.
You got to look at, what is it that there's a lot of things that make a company like McDonald's successful. Whether you like their food or not, they open up a restaurant every hour or something like that all over the world. Starbucks is the same way. It doesn't matter where in the world you go into a Starbucks or into a McDonald's, it's the same. Mm-hmm. And the only way they can grow the way they are is because it's a system and it's simple. Just like when you dial a phone number, you got to put the digits in the exact order, and you have to put the right numbers in. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, the phone number is not going to go through. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing in your network marketing business. If you want to grow a big business, you have to have a system that's consistent, that everybody teaches the same thing, and that it's simple enough that others can repeat it quickly. And they don't have to take it. It's not if you got a really long learning curve, if it's a really complex learning curve, it's not going to duplicate the same. So you want the message to be extremely simple, and clean, and something that really quickly resonates, that they can easily communicate it to someone else.
Yes. One question I have for you. I will actually have one more question, because you made me think of something. Right now, I am streamlining everything, like making it more smoother, more cleaner. So what are some of the things that you do, especially at the beginning? Because at the beginning, it gets a little overwhelming. How did you keep it streamlined and in order so that you can maintain your business and follow up and do all these other things?
You're talking about the process of actually building the business?
Yeah.
So there's some elements that you need to master, and it does need to be simple. You want to first of all, you want to, number one, focus on the relationship always. First, up at the top first, and then focus on their dreams, try and figure out what it is they're looking for in their life. Third thing, you have to have a presentation that you can teach to other people. Simple. A very simple, short, no more than 30-minute presentation that you can easily teach to other people. The third thing is you've got to have a system that you can teach others for setting up appointments. All right.
Yes.
And then you have to have a really strong follow-up system. Most of your success will happen in the follow-up. And if you don't have a good follow-up system, talk to Ann.
Yes.
If you don't have a good follow-up system, then you're going to lose 90% of your business. The majority of your business will happen in the follow-up. And then lastly, you have to have a process for training everybody.
Yes.
So once you distill those down into little compartments, and you just master each one, and it's not complex. Most of these things are ridiculously simple. Like I didn't have a TV set for 25 years. I figured out that I needed to get rid of my TV set because it was costing me time and money. This was long before I ever made a penny in network marketing. Heard a speaker say that my TV set was costing me my money, and that the reason I'm not successful in business is because I watch too much TV. And even people that say they don't watch TV watch 3 to 4 to 5 hours a day.
I do not do that. I do not.
So I unplugged
an hour if I'm lucky.
For 25 years, I didn't have a TV. I unplugged it. Eventually, I gave it to Goodwill. But then I needed a TV because I wanted to have one in my condo in Las Vegas. And I was going to just use it for movies once in a while. So I go down to the Best Buy, and the guy says to me, I go down to the Best Buy, and I say, I want a flat screen, like a 52-inch, 50-inch or whatever it was. I think I said 50-inch or whatever, flat screen. I don't need all the bells and whistles, just something simple. And I said I'd pay, I don't remember what it was, but it was like $750 or something like that. Yeah, something like that. So that's all he does is he goes like this. I mean, I'm talking simplicity. He goes like this, and I follow him because he went like this. So I follow him into this little room about this size, and they have this big, 62-inch flat screen set up, and he hands me these glasses, and I put them on, and Shrek 3D is playing on the screen. It's a 3D TV, a $6,000 3D TV, and it was so cool that he said, he told me how much it was, and I said, I'll take it. Now I went in to buy a $750 TV and I bought a $6,000 TV because he said, come here, I want to show you something. That's a simple technique. And you don't, obviously you're not going to do this, but you might say, I want to show you something. Let's sit down for coffee. I want to get together with you and run some ideas by you. That's a very simple approach that anyone can do.
Yes.
And so learning things like that, things that are simple, that are really duplicable, are things that are going to help you grow.
If the word was easier to say, duplicatable, would it be nice?
Actually, I don't think I heard this. I don't know what the truth is because I've never looked it up. I heard duplicatable is not a word, but I heard duplicable is. So I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe one of you can Google it.
That's what I was just thinking. And I'm a school teacher, and I might have to look that up.
But you know what? We made up our own word. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to thank Jordan so much for coming today. And if you haven't read Beach Money, this is a great book. My nephew is in the Navy, and he has been deployed. He just came home, and I gave him the book, and he loved it.
Awesome.
He's now 21. His birthday's coming.
You'd be surprised. I've got lots of people in their 20s that have read it, and they all love it.
Well, I think that anything with the word beach, I mean, that's got my attention.
Right.
You know, my 4 years, my goal is to have a house in Hawaii because I miss the beach because I was raised on the East Coast. So I love anything to do with the beach. And then Jordan just released this book, Better Than Beach Money. So he's a great mentor to me, and I so appreciate it.
Can I offer something to these guys?
Absolutely.
So if you buy this book on Amazon, if you buy my new book, Better Than Beach Money on Amazon, and if you do a review on Amazon, go in there and do a review, screenshot it, and send it to support@jordanadler.com. I will send you my Better Than Beach Money audiobook for free, which is the Better Than Beach Money audiobook sells for $24.95.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So if you're interested in the audiobook on this for free, just buy the book on Amazon, do a review, screenshot it, send it to me at support@jordanadler.com, and I'll send you that over.
Awesome. And do be careful, because I have to tell Jordan, be careful, because this is the cover. This is Beach Money Revised, but this is Better Than Beach Money. I literally ordered the wrong book before Jordan got here today, and so I wanted to make sure that you ordered the right one. So I will go back and order my book because I would like to get the audio as well. And I would love for you to share this video and maybe to your team or somebody that's maybe having a bad day. Please hashtag Beach Money, hashtag Jordan Adler, and hashtag LV Community Connectors as well. I would appreciate that. If there's any questions that you guys have for Jordan, I'm sure Jordan will be more than happy to answer throughout the feed. So please post them, and go Knights, go Jordan. And I have to give Jordan some trouble because my Cardinals swept the Cubs this week. So I have to give him a little bit of rubbing on that one. So I thank you so much for joining us today, and have a great, great day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.